Matthew was about to run over to them, though I stopped him. In the top left of the garden, again out of view of the window, was a tank, much like the others. However, this one had an 8-foot-tall serpent-like creature inside. It was entirely black with black scales. Then, in that moment, it opened its eyes. Unlike the rest of it, which was mainly just a black silhouette, its eyes were a deep, bright red. The tank then began to open. This creature was now coming for us.
Stay where you are,
the creature bellowed at us as me and Matthew slowly walked away.
I repeat, do not move.
This finally froze me and Matthew in place. After all, we knew this thing was capable of taking over our whole household without anyone noticing, and we didn't know if there were more of them. Plus the fact that it was also scaring us half to death as well, that also helped. The creature then turned its head and looked towards Matthew.
You have escaped from your pod, and you.
The creature then turned its head to face me, eye to eye.
You I do not recognize. Presumably, you are the one who freed him.
I blinked nervously. Then, with a shadow of confidence, I then engaged in the conversation. Yes, I did release him. Although, to be honest, you shouldn't have imprisoned him in the first place.
This has nothing to do with you.
Oh, really? I think if you're imprisoning people in these pods and using it for, well, essentially as batteries, I think it does have something to do with me.
You will bring on your own demise.
Really? Well, I think the way you're going, I'm surprised you haven't brought on your own.
How did you get into this premises?
I went through the front door. Oh, you must have a perception filter. Ah, yes, I see, perception filter. Thing is, it won't work, for long. I think eventually the post-person, not the PC term for that, but, eventually they're going to come along and, well, they're going to see the address and they're going to have to walk through it. You know I don't order things often online, Ryan. Ah, so this place was just specially selected.
We were monitoring it. This, out of all the places, had the least amount of unknown visitors.
Ah, really? Less people going in, I see. We? Who's we,
I am one of the Secomix.
Secomix? Really? Good, I'll add it to the list of people that I don't like. Oh, but as far as I can tell, you're just one. Where's the rest of you? Where's the rest of you? Are you up in some other spaceship? Or are you just pillaging other houses, are we?
Enough of this. Do not move while I engage the mind wipe.
What? They go wipe our minds? Hence the term mind wipe, yes? Question is, why? Why wipe our minds?
Yours is the only priority. He shall go back in his pod, and you will leave this premises as if nothing out of the ordinary had happened.
Why? There's 1,000 things that could go wrong with that, Why not just kill me? That's what most of them normally do, or threaten to do anyway.
You could be missed. I have no information on you, and I do not wish to alert its authorities.
Ah, so you'll just let me go and let me go on with my day, my life, and pretend that none of this happened.
Correct.
Ah, well, sorry, Matthew, goodbye. And that, well, hit me with it. Ryan, why you... it doesn't... we've had a good time. I was like, come on then, come on. Mind wipe me away, I wish to end this nightmare. And with that, I was struck with a beam of light. I could feel it poking around in my head. I was trying to erase the last hour or so of my memories. However, even this early in, I'd learned to, well, let's just say put a mental shield around my mind. I'm not saying it's easy, I'm not saying it's painless. In fact, it's neither. It's extremely difficult and also extremely painful. In fact, in this point of my life, it's essentially knocked me out. Though apparently this mind wipe would have done it anyway, so heck, I was just saving it a job, wasn't I? According to Matthew, the creature then dragged me into the living room of Matthew's house, and then ordered Matthew to stay put while it gathered some circuitry from the garden. I managed to become semi-conscious during this time, though I was a bit dazed. I managed to turn to see Matthew. I then quickly assured him that I hadn't forgotten everything, and that I would come back with a plan. He did bring up the point of obviously he was in the tank before and about to die. However, from what I gathered, I reckon that was probably a mistake in terms of the oxygen running out, and that maybe you were just taking longer to get done or something compared to the rest of your family. He didn't look reassured at all of what I said, and to be honest, I couldn't blame him. Then Matthew was ordered to drag me, pretending to be unconscious by this point, noted, to the end of the path leading up to Matthew's house. Presumably, the mind-miping device would have planted something in my head to assure me that I'd been to see Matthew, everything was well, and that I was now just heading home. And true, I was going to be heading home. Though it wasn't because I'd just been to see Matthew and everything was hunky-dory. No, I was heading home to form a plan and gather some resources, because rest assured, I would be back. As soon as Matthew had finished dragging me into the front garden, I then quickly got up. I told him, unfortunately, he'd have to stay here, otherwise this creature would get suspicious. Plus, I needed him to play for time. I assured him that I would be back as quickly as possible. I then made it back home as quickly as I possibly could. I searched through my drawers for any bits and bobs, anything that could be useful. Then, in one of the drawers, I found boxes of silly putty. Remembering that this brand of silly putty reacted in a very similar way to plastic explosives when set alight, I had what I would call a last resort solution. I stuffed all of the silly putty into an empty bottle of iron brew. I then soaked some string in some lighter fluid, put a hole through the middle of a cork, then fed the string through. I then placed the cork in the drinking hole in the bottle, making sure that the string made it and was touching the silly putty, with the other half of the string poking out of the top. I grabbed the only lighter we had. Unfortunately, it was one of the elongated ones that we only ever used for lighting a barbecue. It wasn't as discreet as I'd have hoped, but still it would do. Then I sat in my chair for a minute and considered my options. On the one hand, there was the obvious thing: call the authorities, get them all in. The only thing is, their priorities wouldn't be the same as mine. Their motivation would simply be to stop the alien threat at any cost, no matter who got in the way and who died. I mean, it would have been a plus if they managed to do it without killing anyone or risking the lives of anyone else, but 9 times out of 10 that just wasn't the way it worked. Plus, they would probably make so much noise and commotion about it. Everything would be on alert. And no doubt, our little, well, not so little alien friend would have fled the scene and killed everyone just to make sure to cover its tracks. Still, it would probably get caught. No doubt, probably, if there was just one awake, running about. I had to think about this. So, I decided to put a timed message, which would warn the authorities in half an hour, which would hopefully give me enough time to go and rescue Matthew and his family, and maybe, just maybe, put a stop to things. Though, in my mind, I sincerely doubted it. I returned back to Matthew's house as quickly as I possibly could. I crouched down and took a quick glance back into the back garden just to assess the situation. Matthew was strapped down to a table with several knives and scalpels by the side. If I didn't do something soon, he was going to be dissected.